to quantum research, events occurring in the fourth dimension and subatomic substances in the fourth dimension act according to human thought.
Therefore, many local and foreign personal development books have been published about the effects of quantum, that is, the power of thought on our lives.
Upon this fact, scientists had made many types of research on the power of thought that has existed since humanity existed, and it's considered and found to be paranormal. Many articles related to existence of the soul have been published. Experiments and research have been conducted as well. Also, metaphysical events such as telepathy, clairvoyance, and psychics performed by humans, which we will mention and discuss in the continuation of the subject, are all evidence for the existence of the soul. The psychic and telepathy, one of the metaphysical events that occur with the power of thought, have been proven in the laboratory also. Imaged brain waves can go few centimeters further in visible telepathic communication, in violation of the laws of physics. Any spatial, there is no limit and no physical obstacle that it cannot overcome. Telepathy, which has been proven by countless experiments in humans and even officially used in some countries, is even found in animals. This has been proved by an experiment which involved a mother rabbit and baby rabbits, one of which was left at a submarine. The submarine that contained the baby rabbit was kept away from the mother rabbit at such a distance that no physical signal could pass. Changes in the mother's brain when the baby rabbit was killed were recorded. These kinds of emotional experiments have also been made and proven in humans. Many studies in the field of psychology prove the existence of the sixth sense, which is an enigma. For example, in an independent experiment where two psychologists and an engineer announced their results to the world, the sender-transmitter sent emotional thoughts to the receiver. Thousands of kilometers away, experts noticed a noticeable increase in the volume of blood in the recipient's finger at this time. This also shows that the receiver felt the message of the sender at the unconscious level, in his area of consciousness, and his body responded to the stimulus. The book titled Mental Radio, published in 1920, includes 150 telepathy experiments. Albert Einstein watched the groups work on the subject from time to time and said in the preface of the book, "The results of telepathic experiments presented in this book, carefully and simply, are far beyond the results that a nature researcher considers imaginable." On the other hand, we cannot even imagine that such an honest observer and writer like Upton Sinclair was deliberately deceiving the world of readers. His accuracy and reliability are beyond doubt.
Psychics and metaphysicians have also been used officially by governments.
Aura is the name given to electromagnetic field that covers the physical body. It has been found that a person's aura field can affect another person's brain. Such science-based metaphysical facts did not go unnoticed by states and governments, and they used this knowledge to gain power. Mehmet Hamdi, author of the book Dark Power, in his book, he describes the parapsychological wars waged by the countries using such metaphysical knowledge. The first parapsychological institution in America was established in Durham, North Carolina, USA, on June 19, 1957. Its formation was proposed by Joseph Banks Rhine during studies in Duke University's Parapsychology lab.
This parapsychological society was adopted
by the American Association for the Advancement of Science in December 1969. This is considered an important step in gaining the prestige of parapsychology. Today, there are permanent studies in parapsychology departments at universities in many countries. The universities on this list are some of these universities. The scientists of parapsychology examines the physic, spiritual abilities, and events titled telepathy, precognition, mindfulness, telekinesis, psychometry, radiesthesia, psychophoto, pre-diagnosis, paramedicine, mental body control, astral projection. When we look at the work done in this field in the United States and the former Soviets, we see that parapsychology is also intensely investigated by intelligence organizations. For example, in the 1970s, 700 mediums used by the CIA for hypnosis and telepathy were working. Also, Americans has made parapsychological trials in the Vietnam War.
In the United States, studies in the fields of parapsychology were also carried out at the Stanford Research Institute in 1972.
At the beginning of the project, there were names from the National Security Organization and Scientology sect. In the line with the project, Uri Geller of Israeli origin was brought to America in 1970. Uri Geller said that he developed his abilities such as metal bending, stopping watches, or operating broken watches after contact with extraterrestrials. In 1991, this project was named Stargate. From the beginning, up to 23 clairvoyants were trained in the project. In February 1960, an article in the French journal Science and Life was about how telepathy was used on military targets. The article mentioned that psychics in America telepathically contacted the Nautilus, the first nuclear submarine under the Arctic glaciers. Significant trials of clairvoyance were carried out in the American Society for Psychic Studies in the New York City. The famous Ingo Swann is one of those who work here. Ingo Swann participated and conducted studies in the Stargate project, which was conducted with the American Defense Intelligence Agency, and whose purpose was investigate allegations of potential military practices and psychic events. The Russians began to arrest psychics as early as 1923. The aim was to use the mediums in spy work. With psychics in these years, we do not know what kind of work has been made. However, when we come to 1975, we see that the KGB again arrested people with parapsychological abilities. The KGB was also looking for people with high hypnosis ability and suitability to commit murder. According to a report from the International Herald Tribune, the money spent in 1967 to examine the paranormal events in USSR and to maintain its power in this direction was 12 million rubles. To give an example, in 1940, two policemen came to theater where the telepathist Wolf Messing performed in Russia and took Messing away without question. Messing could make people do what they wanted by showing them as if they had things that were not there. Although Stalin was an atheist, he kept the metaphysicist Wolf Messing with him for 13 years and took advantage of these characteristics. In experiments in Russia in the 1970s, the brain of animals were loaded with electromagnetic waves. After a while, these animals began to notice what was happening behind the thick walls.
But because the animal brain could not withstand overloading, the guinea pigs soon died.
Another experiment implemented in Russia was to concentrate psychic brainwaves on objects. Directing this spiritual energy to the talisman or amulet had positive or negative effects on the carrier. As we know, some items are accepted as suspicious or ominous among people.
Using the same method, mediums influenced souvenirs and Russian dolls with the power of thought.
Then these gifts were given to some people. As a result, depression and mental problems were noted in these individuals the whole time they had the gift. Professor of the Moscow Popov Radioelectronics and Combat Studies Institute M. Kogan stated in experiments they carried out in 66-67 that human thought can be carried very far without a tool. Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, officially stated on its website that it spends an amount of $5.5 million annually on metaphysical activities. To point out a few examples from Europe, in 1925, Czech military authorities published a book called Clairvoyance, Hypnotism, Magnetism for use in the army. The aim was to inform the soldiers on this issue and to discover the talented ones. During World War II, some soldiers were hypnotized and quite accurate information about the enemy positions and numbers was obtained through astral travel. In this way, the bodies of some missing soldiers were also found. The reason why this kind of work was developed in Czechoslovakia was that there was a very widespread magic tradition in this country from the Middle Ages. In many Western countries, clairvoyants work in cooperation with the police. It is not within the scope of secrecy for the police service to receive assistance from psychics' ability to see beyond the physical dimension. Even how the medium works in TV documentaries on this subject, In particular, the methods by which they solved murder cases are stated in detail. And of course, for these psychics to work with the police, they must be highly reliable and 100% accurate information. In Muslim countries, there are psychics capable of seeing beyond physics who find lost objects or people and describe their location. We define such people as Hajja, one of the metaphysical events that occur through quantum mechanics in hypnotism. Hypnotism was also used by many scientists, especially doctors, and the soul consciousness was affected by hypnotism, and some events were opposite to the known life. First known in 1842, an English physician hypnotized the patient before cutting his leg, and the patient did not experience any pain when his leg was amputated. James Braid, a Scottish doctor working in Manchester, stated in his work that patients healed with the stimulation of their imaginations in 1841. And he was the first to use the term of hypnotism. After this stage, he created a new branch of medicine called neurohypnology. Later, John Eliot's son and French surgeon J.C. Anselm Rickheimer, they performed painless surgeries with hypnotism. In different parts of the world, the old and new clergy could focus on their souls and walk in fire without being burned, in a way hypnotizing themselves. One of the metaphysical events realized with their power of spirit is the third eye event.
In Samoa, it was reported that blind people could see their surroundings through their skin.
After a while, scientists laughed at this. New York World, he wrote in the Paris publication, "You don't just have an eye in the back. All of your body is surrounded by these eyes, and with the right training, all of them can be used."
This conclusion was reached by many scientists who witnessed the experiments of Jules Romain, who wrote a book on the subject.
Romain voluntarily experimented with several people, although the first experiment did not yield sufficient results. The second tests showed that some subjects gained the ability to read playing cards while blindfolded after 3 hours of concentration. Reportedly, the ability of the subject increases with each test. It is real evidence for the existence of metaphysical realm in dreams. As it is known, dreams are divided into 3 by experts of the metaphysical world.
These are dreams from the subconscious, dreams from the devil, and dreams from the creator.
Although dreams coming from the subconscious are metaphysical events, the occasions in which people receive strangely conscious messages in satanic and Rahmani dreams are greater metaphysical events. Just as there are psychics who talk to the devil and take orders in their dreams, there are many people who receive inspiration from the Creator in their dreams that they would not have in the normal world. Some of the composers who have created their compositions in their dreams are Beethoven, Mozart, Schumann, Saint-Saëns. The artists who completed their works by seeing the rest of their works in their dreams: Dante, Goethe, J. Nasfield, Cousteau, Charlotte Brontë, Edgar Allan Poe, Baudelaire, William Blake, William Cowper, Heinrich Heine, Shelley, Tolstoy. Otto Loewi, who received the Nobel Prize for proving the importance of chemical substances in the studies of the nerves by applying the experiment he saw in his dream. Chemist Frederick Kekulé, who discovered the ring-shaped formula of benzene thanks to the snake with its tail in its mouth that he saw in his dream. Niels Bohr, who created the modern atomic theory by seeing the planets in his dream in various ways. Canadian doctor Frederick Banting, who found insulin by figuring out the condition of diabetes through the psychological surgery in his dream. Elias Howe, who discovered the needle of the sewing machine, which he could not find for years, thanks to spears of the guards he saw in his dream. This was just a summary of the scientists who have achieved success through dreams they had seen.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
In the Quran, it is explained that some dreams are actually messages from God. In a verse of Quran, God has let Prophet Muhammad know an event that will occur in the future.